John with Citizen Survival Plan here today. I want to kind of go over some good rails that I like to put on AR-15s if you're building. These are my favorite. So let's go over one of the first ones I ever had. This is a Bear Creek Arsenal rail. This is going to come in at about $114.99 with the barrel nut. It's a pretty decent rail. It looks nice, it's got good styling, it's not overly expensive. So just like everything I review, let's go over some of the things I don't like about this rail. So it's heavier than the other rails that I'm going to show in this video, so that's a con. Clocking the barrel nut on to get it onto the receiver, not crooked, is kind of a pain when you have to get it to certain torque specs. And I'm going to roll a video of an installation.
So we're going to go over kind of the complexity of doing one of these Bear Creek Arsenal rails. These can be a pain sometimes, and I just want to give a demonstration on how they go on. I'm sure Bear Creek Arsenal has their own thing, but I'm going to do it anyways just because I'm doing the rail comparison. So if we are installing your barrel nut, it has to be timed correctly with these tick marks up to that very small tick mark inside the receiver. It has to be dead center inside of that. Because when these go on, those are screw holes for the rail. So if this isn't clocked on properly, your rail will sit crooked or wherever you have it. So I just tried to do it and I start going over. And that's the problem because you have to get a very specific amount of torque on a barrel nut. I typically like 40 to 50, maybe 60 foot-pounds on it. So I'm going to try and shim it right now, and we're going to see how close we can get. So not only do I have to shim it, or clock it correctly, I have to have the correct amount of pressure on the actual barrel nut. So already I can tell I'm going to have to go way over, and that's the problem with these. So we had 2 shims, this is just one. So let's try. I can't do the big tick mark because that's not the one for this rail. We have to get to the small tick mark in the center. So let's start tightening it. So let's start trying to get it. Let's see where I'm at. I'm all the way at 60, so that's kind of where I don't want to go. And let's look down. We're not even close. So I'm going to have to go to like 120 foot-pounds of torque before I'm going to clock that, which is going to be way too much. So let's try and just remove the shim. And all of these are different. Sometimes they require shims, sometimes they don't. Sometimes you need 2, sometimes you need 3, sometimes you need 1. And it's kind of just a science to get down to it. So let's remove the shim completely and see if we can get it. So no shim, we'll try it this way. Remember, we need 40 to 50, maybe 60 foot-pounds of pressure to get this to work correctly. So let's see. Let's see what the foot-pounds go to. Okay, so we're getting close. We're almost at 40, so let's see if we could clock it. Okay, so dead center. I got about 55 foot-pounds of torque on that, and that is sufficient. So it's just a matter of figuring it out until you can actually clock it. I just don't like the process. I don't like to have to do it. So let's see. Slide our rail on. And if you come over here, your holes are lined up. And we have about 55 foot-pounds of torque on this. So this is good. But I had to go through a couple shims to figure out that I didn't need a shim. Sometimes they need it, sometimes they don't. Another problem with these, I have to put 8 hex key bolts into the handguard to hold it on. So that's another con with these rails. It's just a lot. It's a lot of parts. It's a lot of shims. It's a lot of stuff just to do a rail.
It is more expensive than the other options in this video. So this is supposed to be a budget brand, and it's actually a little bit more expensive. The bolts on this, in my opinion, just looking at it from a mechanical standpoint, are more prone to come loose than the other bolts. And we're going to get into that in a minute too. But I've never had them come loose, but just looking at it, it's possible that it could happen. This is the Midway V2 rail. It is the AR Stoner. It's Midway's house brand, Midway USA's house brand, AR Stoner. These are my absolute favorite rails of all time. I've seen other stuff. I really have only built with a couple different rails, but these have been my favorite, and I've just kind of stuck with them. I own a couple of them. Even keep some as a spare just in case. But these are going to come in at $109.99. So $109.99 as of the making of this video. This is the regular model. This is the V2. And we also have another one of my favorites, which I even like even more. This is the AR Stoner V2 Ultralight. Those accessories do not come with it. That is my sling and light mount that I have on these. These are less expensive. So just right off the bat, I like them already. They have 2 pinch bolts, which I think are better than using those 8 hex bolts on the Bear Creek Arsenal. And this is why I think these won't come loose as opposed to those. This pinches together when you tighten that. So that pinches onto your actual barrel nut. And the reason I don't think it's really ever going to come loose, and I have not had it come loose at all under all the ones that I own, and how much how much shooting I've done in them, with them, is when you pinch that together, the steel is going to push outwards on the bolt, kind of locking them in place. So I really like that design. I know that other people have this design, but I'm just kind of going over why I like this one. These do not rotate. These go on nice and tight. Once they're on that barrel nut, I can't turn them. They don't come out of timing. Never had it happen. So someone out there might be like, I got it to rotate one time. I don't know. I've never experienced it. The wrench that you can buy with this to install it for your AR-15 is only $4.99, and it's kind of like an add-on option that you'll see when you put one of those in your cart. The only cons to these I see is with the Ultralight model. This is the regular model, and you can see it's a little bit more robust. And this is just the nature of making something ultralight, is we're going to lose a little bit of durability on this. So these little cross sections here, if you were ever to drop it or hit it real hard, you could break one of those because it's thin and it's ultralight. So, there's always cons with there's always pros and cons with these kind of things. If you make it ultralight, you're probably going to lose some durability. So if you want to carry the extra weight, just get the regular one. Let me give you the weights of all these really quick, because I weighed each one of them. The Bear Creek Arsenal was a little over a pound, and I'll put the weight on the screen. It was just a pinch over a pound, barely. So these are with the nut. All these are measured with the nut and the bolts on them, so we get an accurate reading, because that's what it's going to be on your gun. So little over a pound on the Bear Creek Arsenal. The V2, the regular V2, was 15.3 ounces, and that even included my attachment. So you might drop an ounce off that. Maybe not a whole ounce, but you'll drop just a tiny little bit of weight off that. And then the Ultralight was 13.3 ounces. So both of those are not even a pound. This is really light. And that's with the attachments on it. I weighed it. And this one doesn't have the barrel nut in it, but when I weighed it, the barrel nut was in it. I made sure, because I wanted them all to be accurate readings on what it would be on your gun. Let's go ahead and roll the installation process of the AR Stoner.
So this is the Midway V2 rail. Also the V2 Ultralight installs exactly the same way. They can even interchange between the barrel nuts. So if you have this on, you can change back from Ultralight to regular. This is my favorite way to do a rail. These are my favorite rails from Midway. They don't come with this. I put that on myself. Just a note for the video. But this is the simplest way to do it. I don't need any shims. I don't need anything to put this on. I probably just need to put some anti-seize on the threads. But so you just screw this on, and then depending on how much torque you like, I'm going to go up to 55 foot-pounds again. That might have been 60. And then we just take our rail and just slide it on. I have no worry with shimming anything or messing with anything. I can now just slide this on. All I got to do is tighten up those 2 bolts. my rail's done, and my barrel nut is at my desired torque, whatever I wanted it to be.
Alright, thanks for watching the video, guys. Let me know in the comments what your favorite AR-15 rails are to build with. I always like high quality, well-priced items when I'm building. I'm not really into the $300 and $400 special rails. I like regular stuff that regular Americans can buy. I'll see you in the next video. Have fun shooting.